Welcome to the Strategic Desk, a series within the lending room designed for account executives and business leaders. We dive deep into partnerships, performance metrics, and the evolving lender landscape. My name is Courtney, and I am the content marketing specialist for Emporium TPO. And joining us today is not only a great friend of mine, but one of Emporium TPO's newer account executives, Nic VanDuren. Nic started his journey with us here around 5 years ago, and while he was brought up in the mortgage world, starting as a new account executive brings many challenges and awards along the way, and that is what we are here to discuss with everybody. How are you doing today, Nic?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here.
Good.
Very excited.
Well, so we're going to kind of jump into your background, kind of how everything started with the real side of starting as the account executive. Really jumping into the raw behind the scenes side of it all that most don't really hear or see while talking about starting strong or building that broker relationship, as well as developing that territory plan that works. So most that don't know your history in mortgage, what brought you into that mortgage world?
I think it was kind of always going to happen. I grew up, my father's been in lending my entire life. I grew up sleeping on the floor at the office a lot of the time. Spent all of my time around folks in the industry. When I got a little bit older, I didn't really have anything that I liked doing. And I was bartending, bouncing around, doing different things, and I figured it was time to find a career. And the best example of a successful person that I had was in lending. So my goal was to become that. So I think just pre-COVID, so 2018 or so, I started at another lender and I worked there doing collateral review for about a year and a half. And it wasn't my favorite thing in the world. I'm not the most detail-oriented person in the world, and it's a very detail-oriented job. And it's props to all of the people who can do it, because I can't. Took a little break for a while, back to bartending, and then, realized that wasn't where I wanted to be. Luckily, there was a position that had opened up with Emporium when Emporium opened its doors. And so I spent, some time helping to build up some of the departments here. I started in broker applications, just reviewing broker apps. And, when you're a new lender, sometimes you might get one a week. So there was a lot of time for me to explore other aspects of the industry, kind of see what I liked, what I didn't like, what I was interested in. I transitioned to a client support role, and was the sole member of that team for a pretty long time. And I realized that my favorite part of this job was building and maintaining broker relationships. I like to talk, and it's all of the things that I like about this industry without all of the things that I don't. So I really, really enjoyed that. And when an opportunity came up to transition into sales, I mean, this is what I've wanted to do for years. So I was very excited, and then that's how I ended up here. I love it. It's my favorite job I've ever had.
I love that. And shout out to Ed for baby Nic running around the office.
Shout out, Ed.
We love that.
Absolutely.
So starting off in sales, like you just said, it was kind of, you love to talk, you love people, you love getting out there. But there is that line where that first 30 days that you really have to hit the ground running, right?
Yes.
So what were your steps? What was your philosophy into trying to really rack in all of the knowledge, anything that you really needed within those first 30 days?
I did a lot of my learning beforehand.
Okay.
So for the last few years, being client support, I worked very closely with a lot of our account executives and their clients. And I just made sure that I wasn't wasting the time. So I started to pick up on the things that I liked that certain AEs did. And I said, okay, well, when I do it, I'm going to do that. And I picked up on some of the things that I was not so excited about that AEs did. And I said, okay, well, when I become an AE, I'm definitely not going to do that. So I did a lot of thinking beforehand, and then in that first 30 days, really the biggest thing for me was learning the guidelines. It's one thing to go out there and immediately start trying to drive in business, but if you don't understand what you're selling, you can't effectively sell.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that was a big thing for me, was just making sure that I had the knowledge base to properly support my clients instead of throwing things at a wall and seeing what sticks. I've seen where that can lead you, and it's tough. It's not the position that I wanted to be in, and so I tried very hard to make sure that I never did. Now, I mean, as far as I did need to make money, so bringing in clients was important. It started with cold calls. Luckily, I have a great business development coach here, and it kind of just became, at first, less so about selling the company. There's a million mortgage lenders out there, and but mortgage lenders are a dime a dozen. I did notice when I talked with clients in my client support role that a lot of the time the complaint was, it had to do with the AEs, and not our AEs, but just they would talk to me about other lenders. They would talk to me about their experience here or there, and this was something that this person did that I really didn't like, and so learning that kind of stuff was very important. And then just making sure that I was filling their needs. It was weird. The first 30 days was tough.
Yeah.
But then you start to see the little wins come in, and it just snowballs from there.
I love that. I love that you answered like that. And, I kind of want to also input a little personal into this, that within those first 30 days, we kind of threw you in the gauntlet at your first trade show.
Yeah.
I think it was actually your first week.
It was, I think it was within 10 days of starting was my first trade show, and it was a regional show that I didn't have to travel for. I showed up in the morning, helped set up, talked to brokers. And it was a great experience. Honestly, trade shows are one of my favorite things about this job.
We love them.
They're fun.
I love them. They're definitely a huge thing that I strive to do. And, like you said, you just had started, so we didn't even have business cards for that one.
No, and shout out marketing team too. I had you guys sitting behind the booth writing my name, phone number, and email address on sticky notes.
And it got you one.
And it did. I actually had a broker call me the next week, someone that I'm doing business with right this second. Actually, I was on the phone with him for I think an hour and a half yesterday, just chatting. He's become a almost friend of mine. But I remember getting that phone call and saying, "Hey, bud, I've got this sticky note here on my desk. It's got your name on it." And he goes, "Honestly, if it had been a business card, it would have been sitting with the rest of them." He's like, "But I like that, you didn't have them, but you made sure I had your info."
Yeah. And that's, so if anybody wants to know, you don't need a business card to get the business. You just have to have the right attitude with it.
100%. I think that people are attracted more to effort than they are to presentation.
Agreed. Absolutely agree. And that kind of actually leads me into my next question. You actually had just said this. Any unexpected lessons or early wins that you've embraced and still refer back to as guidance? So, that kind of circles back to what we just said. How would you kind of expand on that?
Lessons, learned a lot of them early on. One, don't count your chickens before they hatch. There is submission success does not always translate to closing success, and that's okay. There's a lot of work that goes into driving the business in, but not every loan that you bring in is going to close. Not everything's going to tick all the boxes. Not every borrower is going to have what we need. And so learning to manage my expectations was very important, and also learning to manage broker expectations was very important. I learned the lesson very early on that it is better to underpromise and overdeliver than to overpromise and underdeliver. I have made it my mission to never make a promise that I can't keep, and I take that very seriously. The last thing that I'd ever want to do is promise that I can do something for somebody, and they base their business decisions on that, just to find out down the road that I can't. Another thing that I learned is that knowledge is power. And I think this applies to any industry, but especially here. We are in a very knowledge-based industry.
Absolutely.
If you don't understand how a loan works, you're not going to close it. If you don't understand how the different departments work and who you can go to for this question or that question, or, understanding what it is that the people around you do, it's all so important. The more knowledge you have and the more prepared you are, the better the results. I mean, and again, I think that applies to anything, but especially here.
Yeah.
So that was big too, was just making sure learn as much as possible. That was kind of the goal. Now, as far as wins go, I did have early submission success. I think within the first month, I brought in, I want to say just over 1 million in submissions, which translated to almost no closings, which was a shock. But it did feel good to see the numbers coming in. And it also, at that point, I knew I can do this.
Absolutely.
And it's not so much a waiting game, but I knew that if I kept working at it, the success and the ability to attain success are there. You just have to get them.
Yeah, that grit. You have to have that grit in this game. And you brought up knowledge. Yeah. And we've just brought somebody on that's taking on training and in all departments. I think that's really cool, specifically with Emporium TPOs. It's not just getting knowledge just in one department. We're making sure that everybody gets it so that everybody's on the same page. It's not just...
Absolutely. I think as a salesperson, if you don't understand how your underwriters work,
exactly,
how loan registration works or closing, you can't be successful. You have to truly understand the loan process. I'm not saying you have to be able to do a closer's job. Shout out our closers.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Are fantastic. I could never do their jobs. But knowing at least what they do and how their process kind of works allows me to work more effectively with them to attain the goals that we're all shooting for.
Exactly.
So that's big as well.
Yeah. And so anyone who sells, products and programs like we do, knows that the first impression is the most important. And those first conversations, the attitude, the actions, all of that really kickstarts relationships. And how do you identify and prioritize brokers to engage with during your day-to-day communication with them?
I don't think I do. I think all of my clients are to me equally. You can bring me $100,000 a month. You can bring me $5 million. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to do my very best for you. A lot of my prioritization comes from the loan itself. Obviously, if we have a closing date that we're shooting for on Friday and it's Tuesday and we don't quite have our CTC yet, that's going to take top priority because I have a deadline that I'd like to meet. As far as prioritizing people, I try to stay away from it. I think that everybody's important. Everybody has a job to do, and all of my clients are equally important to me. So a lot of the times it's just who called me first.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. Sometimes there's going to be situations where somebody needs help right this second, and you have to be able to identify that. You can't say, oh, well, I've got 3 phone calls ahead of you, so I'll call you in 2 hours. I mean, that's one way to do it, sure. But if I can hop on a 10-minute phone call and just knock it out with you real quick, I'd rather do that. I'd rather just get it done,
Yeah, absolutely.
But as far as finding, prioritizing brokers to reach out to, a good website, honestly, is a big deal to me. If you take the time to put solid work into your website, it looks nice. It's got about us. It's got, information about the company, nice graphics and all that. I tend to think, okay, well, this is somebody who's got their stuff together. This is a company who's put time and effort into making themselves and their presence professional. I like that a lot. That's not to say everybody's like that. There's plenty of successful people who aren't. But I do look for that. A good website, nice presentation, email signatures, things like that. Presentation is important. It's not the only thing, but it is important.
No, I agree. And that, I'm going to kind of expand on what you just said as well, because we do attend trade shows. We do work hand in hand with them. We send emails, we call, etc. But each account executive really has their own style when it comes to approach. That approach to first calls and discovery conversations, talking hand in hand with them at trade shows, really bringing them in to discover what we're about, who we are, how you can help them, so on and so forth. So in a nutshell, your approach to the broker itself as a singular broker, for example, how would you expand on that?
Okay. I think everybody has their own style. When it comes to approaching people, I mean, just with life. For me personally, I was told very early on that the best thing that I can be as an account executive is myself. Not to toot my own horn, but I think I'm pretty great.
You're awesome.
I appreciate that, but no, I think that there is a level of humanity that I think a lot of people lose in a sales role. It's very easy to just become this sales robot, and I really didn't want to do that. I think that one of the best things that I can offer to my brokers is me.
Yeah.
There's a million lenders out there. They're a dime a dozen. Now, that's not to say that we're not great. We are. We're fantastic. I mean, we're amazing. I love working for Emporium. But I think that a big resource that I try to explain to people is that I care, and I will work hard for you. You can trust that if you ask me to do something, it's going to get done, and it's going to get done to the absolute best that I can. It doesn't always work out, but I try.
Yeah.
I try hard. I think being friendly is important. It's not the end all be all. I know there's some people who are purely business, and that's okay, but that's not me. And on the, there's a lot of people who, try to push this persona, and I just refuse to do that. So generally when I'm reaching out to a broker initially, it's a pretty informal phone call. Hey, my name's Nick. I'm an account executive with Emporium, your new favorite DSCR lender. We do obviously have other products, but I love doing DSCR. It's my favorite. I think they're just a great product, and it's something that really helps people to build either retirement plans or just their business, or they want to generate income in a more passive way. And I think that that's great, and I love helping people achieve that goal. So I always make sure that I explain to the brokers, this is more than just a job for me. I truly care. The industry excites me. The products excite me. All of this is very, very important to me. I try to let them know who I am. I have this little spiel that I give everybody the first time we talk, just a little bit about me. I've been with the company since we opened. I've worked in this department, and this department. I always let them know that I'm relatively new to sales, but I always also let them know, what I lack in knowledge, I make up for in enthusiasm. And if I don't have the answer for you, I will not give you the wrong answer. I'll tell you I don't, and then I'll find it. And I think that honesty is important to people as well. You would be amazed at the things that people will, I don't want to say tolerate, but the grace that you'll be given if you're just honest with people.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference. But it's down to the person. But for me, kindness, honesty, and respect, those are the biggest things. And I try to let them know off the bat that that's what's important to me.
I mean, I've seen you in action, and I've seen those conversations that you have, and I've seen the way that, like you just said, you express the honesty and who you are and what you've done and how you can, contribute to what they're needing. And it really does. It is a very unique style, and because I've seen it in different account executives. Each one has their own, and while it may seem not as prominent as you may think, it really does stand out amongst the crowds when you are giving your all without being too much, right?
Sure.
And I've seen that firsthand with you. You have that smile, you walk up, you introduce yourself. You're very honest and forward with what your intentions are, but you're not too pushy. You're not, dragging them back by, the back of their ear.
There's a balance.
Yeah.
Right? Like aggression in sales is important at the end of the day, but the person who prevails more often is the person who is persistent and level-headed, and not blindly raging into every situation. If somebody tells me no, that's okay. No is an acceptable answer. I would rather you tell me no than tell me yes and lie.
I agree.
And so I accept that, and sometimes it stings a little bit. Man, I really wish that could have worked out or whatever, but it doesn't. And that's life, and you just move on. And one big thing that I tell everybody, I tell this to my friends, people can hear smiles over the phone.
Absolutely, they can.
It's massive. You would be amazed. Have the same conversation with two people. Force yourself to, or with one person, twice. Force yourself to smile once. And the reception is so different. People can tell. And just always, you don't necessarily always have to portray positivity, but give them the positivity that you have, and they will return it.
I agree.
So
I agree. And talking about kind of the personality type, let's just jump right into time management, which I'm the worst at. I have horrible horrible prioritizing
Oh, not my strong suit
problems.
either. I'll be honest.
And anyone who knows me can tell you I either try to complete it right when asked, which can be a problem because I try to pile it all on at once, or I procrastinate and pile it on my task list for the rest of the week. And then by
Sure.
the time I reach it, it's like a Mount Everest of tasks that I need to complete.
Right.
But how do you structure your week to stay productive?
I don't really structure my week. It's more of a day-to-day thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wake up in the morning, and the first thing I do before I get out of bed is I check my emails. It's probably not the healthiest thing in the world to do, but it could be worse. I read all of my emails that came in since the last time I looked before I get out of bed. As I'm getting out of bed, I'm starting to plan what my day is going to look like, what phone calls I need to make. Well, this broker's a little unhappy with this, so let's go make sure that they're taken care of. This broker had a question about pricing. Make sure that you call them. I'm a checklist person. In fact, I'm staring at one of my checklists right now. I make a to-do list every day, and I just tick things off, and it might not get done in the order I want it to get done, but I make sure it gets done. Week level planning is not my strong suit. And in this role, sometimes it's hard to plan a week, right? I mean, I have no idea what's going to happen on Thursday, on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to plan for Thursday would almost be a wasted effort
Mm-hmm.
because I just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it could be Thursday, I could be fighting for CTCs. Thursdays, I could be running out trying to drum up business. I mean, it really just depends. So I think less so planning and more adaptability, right? Have an idea of what you want to get done, or at least this is the way I see it. Have an idea of, hey, these are the 10 things. If I don't get these things done today, I'm not going to feel like I had a good day.
Mm-hmm.
So those have to get done. But you never know what's going to pop up.
Yeah.
So adaptability is huge.
Conforming to change for sure.
Correct.
We definitely are in a business of constant change with the market and how we have to adapt to it, specifically with our products and programs. And at Emporium 2PO, we really do focus on our new hires by giving them certain onboarding tools.
Sure.
Helping them navigate into the mortgage world.
Yes.
And those tools and resources that help onboard them faster, not in necessarily a negative way, but just tools to help get the ground running for them. What are some great assets or resources that you had available to you? I know we had previously touched that you did grow up in this world, so you knew kind of going into it what the foundation was, but some of the resources that other people don't necessarily think about that they have to
there's tons
use.
There's tons here. I will say the biggest resource here, at least, is the people. I have access to hundreds of years of experience every single day. It's just a phone call away. And I take advantage of that. You can ask our underwriters, you can ask other salespeople, you can ask the closers, whoever. I am always calling and asking questions because I don't know everything, and not saying that they do, but there's just this treasure trove of information and knowledge and experience here, and that's been the biggest thing for me. Our training was very minimal. When I first got here, there was essentially no training. And as we were a brand new company, there was like 12 of us,
Yeah.
our company-wide Zoom calls fit on one screen,
I think we're on like page 9 now.
I think, we've broken 100, I believe, which is huge. I mean, I not to say that I never thought I would see that, but it's great to see. It makes me really happy to see us flourishing and growing. The training was lacking when I started. We were all figuring it out ourselves. And so a lot of that was self-guided learning.
Mm-hmm.
As I transitioned into sales, I have received mentorship from some of the greatest people I've ever met in my entire life. I mean, Freddie Alminger, my sales manager, is amazing. I learned so much from him. Mike Lee, our CEO, I have direct access to our CEO, and he takes the time to explain things to me, and he doesn't just tell me this is what it is. He tells me why, and he doesn't get off the phone until I understand. That means a lot. I know now we've built up our training program. We've hired a corporate trainer. I mean, that's amazing, and I'm so excited for all of the people who get to experience that. And I think that we can only get better.
Yeah.
I think that just the open communication here is huge. The ability for, and I know I keep circling back to this, but for me to call people who know more than I do and for them to give me the time of day and teach me has been, I wouldn't be here without it. I genuinely would not be here without it. I make 100 phone calls a day just internally, just to ask questions. And if I couldn't do that, I don't know that I would be able to do this. The culture here is huge. I think that we've done a good job of building a positive and supportive culture. Now, that's not to say everybody doesn't always get along, but what family does, right?
Right.
But I think that the open communication and the ability for us to speak with each other and go back and forth and exchange information and synergize.
Yeah.
There we go. Corporate buzzword, synergize. It's huge. It's everything.
I agree with that 110%. One of my favorite sayings is, you don't stop learning until you die. I mean, you cannot. It doesn't matter what you're doing in your life, whether it be job related, family related, personal, you're always learning.
Absolutely.
And I love that we have that type of a growth aspect within this community and within our company.
Absolutely.
It really does make not only your job more enjoyable, but it also makes it something that you want to do. And that's really hard to find. I know a lot of people love to say that, oh, I love my job. I love coming to work every day. Actually feeling that way is a different type of emotion.
Absolutely.
And there's that step of, oh, I love my job because it's just something I've always wanted to do. Okay, but do you love your job? Do you actively wake up eager to start your job that day?
Right.
And that kind of leads me into my next question. There are a lot of account executives coming into the game.
Yes.
Lots.
Yes.
So being that you are relatively new, not to say by years in the industry, but by title alone,
Sure.
what would be your advice to a brand new account executive stepping into their roles today?
Goodness. The biggest advice I can give is give it time. I got this role and I thought, man, I am going to be rich by next month. I'll be, new car, new house, everything will be taken care of. All my worries will be gone. And this is the start of, the rest of my life as a as a successful person. And that just did not turn out to be the case. There is a incredibly labor intensive and I want to say painful building process. It does not happen overnight. It will not happen overnight. But it does happen and it takes time. I'm now, I want to say 10 months into this role and I am just now getting to a point where I feel like I have hit my stride. The business is coming in, the back end is taking care of itself.
You found your rhythm.
Yeah, exactly. And it took a long time to get there. And I'm not going to lie, sit here and lie to you and tell you that there haven't been phone calls I've had with mentors or people that I talk with. I don't think I could do this. I think I'm going to look for another job. I think that maybe what you guys saw in me is not what I actually am. Whatever. And the response has always been, shut up.
Yeah.
Just keep working. It'll be okay.
Don't quit.
And it will. It will. You are going to fail a million times. You are going to piss off clients that you care either deeply about them or deeply about their business. I don't know. But you're going to piss them off and they're going to tell you to your face how much they hate you and they wish they'd never done business with you. And it's going to suck. It's going to hurt and it's going to take your pride down hugely. But just grow up and get over it. You know? At the end of the day, you can't make everybody happy. Realizing that is very important. So I guess the biggest things I could say are, and I cannot stress this enough. Read the guidelines. Learn the guidelines.
They
are so, they are the foundation from which all of this is built. And if you don't understand your foundation, you will not build something great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say I'm like this wizard and I know everything that's in the guidelines.
But that's why I bring the big book around.
Right.
Like, it's there. But we have it.
The ability for you to know, okay, I need to know this about foreign nationals, so I'm going to go to the foreign national section of the guidelines. And then to be able to read and comprehend and understand and process that information is huge.
Yeah.
And I do take pride in the fact that I know my guidelines. Now, do I always know everything? No. But I can say with confidence that I know my guidelines, and that has been huge for me. I said earlier that, it's okay to say, I don't have that answer for you. Let me find it. But you can't say it every time.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, what are you even here for? You just might as well just send them a copy of the guidelines and they can find the answer themselves. So I think that's huge. Read your guidelines, take accountability for the knowledge that you're supposed to possess, and own it.
Yeah. I mean, and like I had mentioned earlier, we're constantly making changes, right? So
Correct.
Keeping the guidelines current with you, all of it needs to be at least somewhat known, right?
Absolutely.
And then to touch back on what you had said, fall down 100 times, get up 101.
Absolutely.
Don't give up on something that in the end, there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
100%.
It's not always going to be the brightest light, and it's not always going to be shining in your face, but it's there. And you just have to keep chasing after it, right? So, well, I just want to thank you for joining us today, Nic, and
Absolutely.
for really diving into the information that new account executives need when starting this journey.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you want to add lastly?
No, I mean, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This has been fun. I'd love to come back and do more of these. I know that I'm not necessarily this like wealth of knowledge like some of the other folks you may have. But I guess, if this is directed at new account executives or people who want to get into being an account executive, do it. It's great. I love it. It's my favorite job I've ever had. And I don't see myself ever doing anything else. But I guess if I can leave everybody with just one thing, it's don't give up. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes perseverance. But you will get there. And it might not take the 2 months or 3 months that you want it to, but you will get there. And I'll be proud of you when you do.
Yeah, you've got your biggest support system with us.
Absolutely.
For sure. Well, you've been listening to The Strategic Desk, where AEs come to grow, lead, and win. Thanks for spending a few minutes sharpening your edge with us today. Follow and share with your account executive team, and tune in next time for a take on the lending landscape inside our series of Market Makers. Until then, keep showing up strong, and we'll see you in the lending room. Emporium TPO is a licensed mortgage lender in MLS number 2278548. Equal housing lender for wholesale and loan broker use only, not intended for consumers.